I'm going to ask you a question. Do you know someone, maybe someone you have a relationship with, a neighbor, a relative, and so on, where you say, "Oh, Sylvia, there's no hope for this one anymore. This person is living completely the wrong way, and unless they come to know the Lord Jesus, they're not going to change." But often we look and say, "Wow, given this person's history, it's really hard for God to use them. It's really hard for this person to change." Look, everyone, if we don't believe that God can restore, we're denying what the Bible teaches. Because look, it says here in Psalm 23, verse 3, "The Lord is the one who restores my soul," that is, refreshes my soul, "and leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake." I want you to just stop and think for a moment. Would you or would I? Right? Ever consider choosing a person to trust who had a dark past like that? Someone who killed, who betrayed their own, who, constantly lied and so on? Would we have the deep faith to say, "No, one day he will be a great leader, and one day he will have a great influence on the world"? Do you know what happened? That was the story of Saul, who became Paul, and of David as well. If we don't believe that God's power is enough to change a person's life, then we should stop reading the book of Psalms, because David, how many Psalms did he write? And how many books of the New Testament did Paul write as well? Because both of them had a very profound experience with the Lord. Paul literally fell off his horse, right? He did so many outrageous things, killed people, persecuted others, and yet the Lord said, "Not this one, he is a chosen vessel." And many times people would say, "Listen, isn't that the one who ordered killings, who killed, who persecuted? Now he's preaching the gospel." It was hard for people to believe. David, the same thing. David, look, it was very difficult how many consequences he faced, because he always did things his own way. But both of them had a remarkable encounter with the Lord. Paul was changed, and David said, "Lord, create in me a pure heart, renew within me a steadfast spirit." And both are and have been used by God here in our lives today. When you read the Bible, you read Paul's letters. When you read the Bible, you see the Psalms written by David. So never disqualify anyone, because God has all the power to restore, to rescue, to transform all the curse, all the garbage into life, and life in abundance. God bless you, and see you tomorrow. Let's keep going. Bye.